Welcome everyone tonight to understand all your college options for your neurodiverse child. Take the great leap. This is the first talk webinar that we are hosting from the Autism College Connection. It's the webinar series Life After High School. We have a series of talks that will be going on between now and next March, either featuring myself talking about college or Social Security. I'm bringing in experts who will talk about four-year colleges and money matters, how to put away money for your disabled child so that they have a secure future. That's all coming up. And if you are on our mailing list, I will tell you more about when these are being offered, and we'd love to see you in future talks. This is welcome to the Autism College Connection. At the Autism College Connection, our mission is to connect parents, students, and schools with the best information about college, as well as the alternatives to college for students with autism and similar issues. Hi, I'm Laura McKenna. I'm CEO and founder of the Autism College Connection. I have 30 years of experience in education, first starting off as a special ed teacher in my early 20s. Later, I became a college professor with a PhD in education policy. I have articles in the nation's top newspapers and magazines, many of which are about higher education or autism. I also work in my community to support students with disabilities. Not surprisingly, I'm an autism mom, and that's why I'm here. Despite this background in education, I was really confused when it came time for my son to graduate from high school. I knew that he wasn't ready for college and life, but I just didn't know what options existed for my son and his particular autism profile. So I researched the hell out of it. I traveled around the country. I checked out schools in person. I networked with experts. Tonight, I'm going to share that research with you. The subtitle to this talk is The Great Leap, because it's a great leap to go from high school to whatever happens next. It's a great leap for the student, and it's a great leap for the parent. Because all of our kids are different, each one of you is going to leap in your own way. Today, I'm going to give a broad overview of some of the options that are available on college campuses for students with autism. I hope after you hear these options, it will help you to zero in on some program or college that will be right for your child. In the coming year, I'll bring in other experts and other resources that can help you on this journey. I have information on Facebook, a website, and a newsletter, and I hope you sign up and follow all the research that I will share with you. You and your child will make a leap soon. I hope that my talk tonight will give you some tools to help you on the way. This talk is about 40 minutes long. When I'm done, I'll answer questions that you type into the comment section. So tonight I'm going to give a broad overview of all the higher education options for neurodiverse students. Because each of our kids has their own flavor of autism, not all of these options will be right for every child. I'll present both the traditional college options as well as the new alternatives that are cropping up around the country. I hope you walk away tonight with options and knowledge so you can conduct your own research. Students with autism might be able to attend and thrive in a traditional college setting without any supports, and that's awesome. Others might need a little extra time on tests or a quiet room to take those tests. Others might do better in a two-year college near home. But some kids with autism need more supports than are available in traditional college settings. And there are new alternatives popping up around the country. We're going to cover that tonight. I want you to keep your mind open about all the options available in higher education, because a four-year college isn't the only path for our kids. There are options, and I believe in options. So let's talk about four-year colleges first, because that's what your high school is talking about, your children's friends, parents are talking about. That four-year college is what you're hearing about from your guidance counselors. So as you probably know now, there's a lot of different types of colleges. There's urban schools, rural schools, that are schools that are elite Ivy League schools for kids with perfect SAT scores. There are hippie schools where the kids, relax and read a lot of books and play hacky sack. There are sporty schools. There's fraternity schools. There's nerdy schools. There's cheap schools. There's expensive schools. You are probably being besieged with information and hearing about what is the best fit for your kid. And maybe other parents in town are thinking about their kids who like football games and they want to go to a Southern college. As an autism parent, the number one thing that you have to think about for fit is your child's autism and what their flavor of autism is like. Making sure you choose a college with that can meet that particular needs, strengths, challenges of your child. So if your child is, focused on acting and drama, you want to make sure that you choose a college with a good drama program. If your child enjoys computers, of course, you want to look at more of a technical kind of college. But in general, because so many of our kids with autism have social, emotional, and anxiety issues, the primary thing that you should think about is perhaps a school that is nurturing, is small, has hands-on. A college with a big drinking Greek life college might be right for typical kids, but a lot of kids with autism find that environment challenging. Two colleges, typical four-year colleges that have a reputation of being very nurturing for students with disabilities is Marist College in upstate New York and High Point College, North Carolina. I hope it's okay. Is my student ready for college? But before you even choose what the best urban school, suburban school, you want to even, before you get to that point, take the time to question, is my student ready for college? Okay, that's the huge question. What does it mean to be ready for college? Of course, they have to be academically ready. Can they write a 5-paragraph essay? Can they write a 2-page research paper with citations? Did they pass their high school algebra class? If they're planning on going to a liberal arts school, then the reading and writing skills are pretty important. And even the STEM majors require a few liberal arts classes. So they need to be on grade level for those academics. They have to be managing a basic college level class for high school. They may not be prepared if they are in the special education track in high school. We really just don't know because the A's in a special ed classroom may not translate, may not be the equivalent of an A in a college prep class. Are they socially ready? Can they make friends? Can they handle disagreements? Could they handle having a roommate? Are they medically ready? My son developed epilepsy in high school, and it took us a few years to really get the medication straight. He couldn't go to college right away. So there's a lot you don't know as a parent. The best way to find out if your college is ready, if your student is ready for college, is to have the school district do a full evaluation on them. Have them do it in their freshman year and in their senior year. If your student has an IEP, they're entitled to evaluations every 3 years. If you have the evaluation for freshman year, then you know what goals they need to hit throughout high school. If they have it in their senior year, then you'll have an even better picture of where they should go, what they're capable of, where their needs are. Perhaps you should hire a private therapist to look at these issues too, including a functional assessment. Some students can get A's in calculus class, but they can't cross the street in a busy downtown. So those are important skills to have before you go to college. Can they manage to take their medication on time? Can they do laundry? Will they remember to eat? Will they remember to go to class? These are all basic skills that we want to see student be ready before they go off to a four-year college. As you're doing the assessment, take a look at the IQ scores. Now, as we all know, IQ scores are a very imperfect measure. They don't tell us much about the awesomeness of our kids, but they are, those numbers can be important when choosing a school. Some, especially for the private specialized programs, they will ask what the IQ is. College is different from high school in many ways. There are so many differences, it's hard to fit on one slide. So I'm going to talk about this briefly now, and I have other speakers coming later on in the year who will delve into this topic even further. So the most important thing to know about college is that there are no IEPs in college. None. There are no special education classes in a typical four-year school. Those kids in this classroom here have to be able to complete the assignments independently. They have to be able to sit in that room there and take notes and understand what's going on and keep up with the lecture. IEPs are a powerful document. They're a legal document that gives parents and students certain rights. There are rights to an education from K to 12. There is no right to a college education. Parents can't talk to the professors. That's another big difference. If your child is struggling, they have to communicate personally with the professor. Professors do not want to hear from the parents. Parents can talk to administrators only if they sign something called a FERPA form, but parents can't even talk to the financial aid department to make sure the paperwork is in properly without signing special form. Professors have no education training. They are experts in physics, in Shakespeare, in algebra. They never take the type of classes that a high school teacher takes. They have no knowledge of autism. Students have to maintain their own schedules in college. They may take a class might meet for 1 hour twice a week. The rest of the time, the student must fill their day with homework and reading for that class. They may never talk personally with a professor. The professor may be in the front of a lecture hall of 300 students. The student may have to correspond with a teacher's assistant instead. There's a lot of new terminology, lingo, culture at college. Terms like the bursar's office. How you address a professor, you call them professor, not Mr. or Ms. There's the admissions department. What is a syllabus? Major credits. There's a lot of lingo in college. Some students pick this up effortlessly. Other students need a little extra time. Some colleges have started setting up summer classes to help students with all the new lingo and expectations of college. Every college has something called the Office of Disability Services or specialized services. It differs from college to college, but it's something similar. These are basic supports for students with disabilities, both at four-year and at community college. But it's nothing like the supports that your child may have had in public school. The primary supports that students get are extra time on test and a quiet room for tests. To get those accommodations, those are called accommodations, student must go to this office a couple of months before school starts, provide the office with IEPs and evaluations to show they have a documented disability. Then this office will provide the students with a letter telling the professor that they are entitled to extra time on tests or in a quiet room, and the student is responsible for giving the professor that information. there's some advantages to getting this support. In addition to just getting the extra time on tests and quiet room, that's a great thing. It also just gives the professor a heads up that the student might need some extra help. These these accommodations are really good for students that have dyslexia, anxiety, mild ADHD, and high functioning autism. The cons are it's hard to get these services. There's a lot of paperwork, and you might have to do interviews. The student themselves is responsible for forwarding these letters and signing up for the testing room. And they don't usually offer any specialized help for autistic type of issues or financial issues. They have the staff in these departments are really stretched. There may be 2 or 3 people who work in this office helping 300 students. Again, it's not like high school. Excuse me, bumping ahead. But it can be very useful. Once you jump over those hoops, having a little extra time on tests it can be very helpful. So let's just say, this sounds overwhelming. You can't imagine your son or daughter in the middle of University of Indiana or Rutgers, one of 30,000 students. So what's the next step? The next step is a community college. Odds are you don't know that much about your local community college because your guidance counselor may not know much either. They are focused on instead on the 4-year colleges, and that's a pet peeve of mine. We really should be educating all of our students a little bit more about community colleges because they really do offer some opportunities for our kids. They're low cost. My son is currently in a community college. It costs $5,000 for a full year, as opposed to $32,000 at our state college. And there's more and more opportunities happening at these community colleges, specifically for students who are neurodiverse. Because research is showing that 80% of college-going youth with autism in the US attend a 2-year college at some point. If you walk through a community college campus, as autism parents, we can all spot autism a mile away now. I think a good number, maybe even 50% of the students that I see on a community college campus are neurodiverse in some way. So, and there's just new opportunities opening up. At our local community college, they have a program for students with intellectual disabilities, and they took a shipping container and retrofitted it into a hydroponic farm. So students there are learning about landscaping and botany. And these are students who are not traditional college students, but they have a place to go and they're learning new skills. There are a lot of pros for neurodiverse students at these community colleges. In fact, I like to call them opportunities next door. On top of the price, they're local, they're less competitive than 4-year colleges. They're very flexible and offer many online offerings that might be good for neurodiverse students. As I said, they can be home to many quirky people. There are 2 kinds of degrees that you can get at community college: certificate and associate's degree, and I'll get to that in a minute. And for some students, community college enjoy being close to home. The downsides of a community college is that the faculty are low paid. And that means that they just don't have the time and the resources to give students too much attention. There are fewer offerings than at a 4-year college. You're not going to get the vast number of majors in social sciences, for example. There are fewer social opportunities because many students are older and working, and they come in take a class or 2 and then leave. In general, the graduation rates are not great for community college, but that's also because students sometimes come and take a couple of classes, that's all they need, and then move on. there's been a lot of research about how colleges, their online websites for signing up for classes, they're not great. And many of us want our kids to move on and be independent, and most community colleges do not have a dorm. So often there's also a misconception about community colleges. Can anyone go to a community college? Well, yes and no. In some ways, they are very loose about credentials. They're not going to check to see if your student officially graduated from high school. So students in high school or in these transition programs, which I'll talk about in a minute, can also go to community college. But students have to pass something called an AccuPlacer exam to get an associate's degree or a 2-year degree. Community colleges are not test optional. So you can try and opt out of this exam with SAT scores around 1,000. But if students can't pass the test or get that score in the SATs, then they have to take remedial classes before they continue on to get their 2-year degree. So there's two kinds of degrees you can get at a community college. You can get a 2-year degree called an associate's degree, which is like a little mini BA. An associate's degree, let's say in computer science, will require 10 classes in computer science and 4 classes in English and social sciences. They will have what's called general ed requirements. The certificate program can give you credentials, but without all those gen ed liberal arts requirements. They are aimed at specific careers, very similar to trade schools, but they're cheaper. For example, my local community college offers a certificate program in C++ programming. It takes 12 months, 108 course hours. The whole program only costs $1,000. It's online and self-paced. Computer science people don't care about associate's degree or a bachelor's degree. They just want to know you know how to program a computer. It's a great option for students who are great at the tech side of things, but struggle with reading and writing. They also offer certificates in IT, business, hospitality, construction, even housekeeping. And the last traditional option is our trade schools. These are places where students can go to get training in a trade. Beauty schools, automotive repair, plumbing, electrical, air conditioning. These are traditional subjects of trade schools. These are usually private programs, and parents should always check to see whether these schools have a good reputation or not. There's a couple of beauty schools out there that were taking a lot of money on tuition and not actually providing any skills. Just do a little research online. The downside with these trade schools is that they're not always autism friendly. They don't have special autism divisions or disability services. It's a private school aimed at really doing one thing, training people to be electricians and plumbers. And I urge anybody thinking about these programs to really think about the professions themselves. There's a lot of social skills involved with being a plumber or an electrician. You are walking into people's homes and having to interact with customers. And sometimes these customers can be a little off. So how would your student react to that? So think about all of that. That said, we had a guy who fixed our electrical, who was definitely on the spectrum. So, you need to have good enough social skills to thrive in the trade program. So these are the various options. Just want you to think that there's more than just the 4-year college, even within the traditional range. And now we're going to talk about the alternative programs. So there are a lot of new things opening up overnight for our kids. Overnight. Like there's no books on this. There's not even websites. I'm going to provide you with the research that I've done and point you in some other directions for you to do your own research. It's pretty amazing. Many neurodiverse people can fit into the traditional options, but certainly not all. So I'm going to cover a bunch of those options right now. So within some traditional colleges, they have programs for people with autism. Not every college has that. There are a few colleges that have these special autism schools within schools. So what you must be able to do is get into the school itself. The student has to be academically strong enough to sit in the lecture hall and take Bio 101, take Introduction to Political Science, take Sociology 101 with all the other students and be able to focus, sit there, concentrate, and get a C or a B or an A in that class. They have to be able to get through the general admissions process with all the right classes. They might need a little help from a tutor once they're in the school, but they really do have to be mostly independent academically. What these programs do is they offer a little academic coaching. They help with executive function skills. Some of these programs have peer mentors who will accompany the students to the cafeteria or to clubs. They might have special Friday night special social groups. Some support students in the job process because one of the problems in college is that students can get through college, but they can't get a job afterwards because they can't manage the interview process. So some of these programs really help students with the next step, going from college to work. The pros of these programs is that you can have a traditional college experience with some support for your weaknesses, and they understand autism too. The downsides is that these programs can be expensive. They can be another $10,000 on top of the tuition that you're already paying for the student. And again, you know, these programs are only for a certain flavor of autism. They are not for all types of autism. So here's a program, RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, great tech school up in upstate New York. But like many tech schools, they have many students who are neurodiverse. So they created a spectrum support program. The students there take regular classes with everybody else, but they have a menu of specialized supports. They have a coach who can help with career, academic, and even social needs. They have sponsored social activities. They have coaches to support the students. And as I said, it's an extra cost. This costs $12,000 per year on top of tuition, room and board, which is $72,000 at RIT. But it is so popular. I heard that there is a 1-year waiting list to get in there. More and more, we're seeing college programs within a traditional campus that are for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities, IDD programs. So what flavor of autism is this? This is for students with autism without big behavioral issues and an intellectual disability. These programs do not want students who have an average IQ. This is for students with IQs about 40 to 90. So again, this is why you want to know your child's IQ. It'll help you pick the right program. They exist on a traditional college campus. Students will take their own classes, though. They will not take classes with the other students, and these classes are not credit accruing. This is a non-degree program. They'll end up with a certificate. The classes and these programs work on various skills, like social skills and job skills. The students will have jobs on campus. And this is great for the social autistic kid who wants to just feel like everybody else, wants to live in a dorm and have that whole experience. The Think College website is fantastic for students with this profile, IDD, and it's worth checking out. One example is here in New Jersey. They have the College of New Jersey. They have a program just for students with this IDD profile. And like other programs, they live in the dorm and have a college experience. They'll work with mentors. And again, this program is so popular that it books up very quickly. They also have summer offerings if you just want to try it out. I love these summer offerings. The kids live in a dorm and see if college is right for them. There are also 2, maybe 3 colleges that are just for students with autism and related disabilities. There's Landmark College in Vermont, Beacon College in Florida, and I suppose we can consider Mitchell College in Connecticut. There's tons of support in these schools. These are just colleges for students with autism, ADHD, dyslexia, and other learning disabilities. There's small class size, maybe 5 or 6 students in the class, and the professors, no disabilities. They are trained, unlike professors at other colleges. It's a place where everyone gets it. The downside of these programs is that they're very, very small, maybe too small for some students. Landmark is up in Vermont, and there's like cows and maple syrup up there, and about 450 students on one campus. The downside is also that it's a school of autistic kids, means that they're all playing Minecraft on a Saturday night. So they're not going to get the total typical social experience, but that might be right for the kids. A college like Landmark also has optional social activities that they've got planned for the students, 2 a night, and the students can choose what they want to do. Another option I want you to think about are transition programs. You don't even need to go to college immediately at 18. You don't. There are options. Students can go to college at any time. Sometimes students just need to cook a little bit longer after high school. So they need a place to grow and think and learn new skills. So there are 18 to 21 programs. They exist in all public schools for students with an IEP. If your student has an IEP, they are eligible to stay in the public school till 21. You may not have heard about it because not all public schools really tell students about these offerings because it costs extra money and they want students at the door, but your student is eligible. It's worth checking out to see what your public school is doing because it's free and it buys you some time, it buys your child some time, buys you time to figure out what the next step is, and it buys your child time to just grow. And this very important, your child will retain their IEP. An IEP, as I keep saying, is a powerful document. It's a set of rights. You can demand, my child needs extra speech therapy. My child needs extra reading help. Once they leave the public school system, they lose their IEP and there's no rights to anything. So it's really something you should consider. Outside the public schools, there are transition programs in private schools and at colleges on the college campus. Mitchell College has a program called the THEMS program. I never know how to say it. And it provides students with some little extra help on a college campus. There's programs, the CIP program in Lenox, Massachusetts, and other locations around the country. There's Riverview and Cape Cod. So this is a little screenshot of the Riverview School in Cape Cod. It's a fantastic program, 17 to 21 program. It's called GROW, Getting Ready for the Outside World. It provides practical academics. They practice social, vocational, and independent living skills. They can live in a dorm. It's really beautiful. The kids have the option of taking classes at Cape Cod Community College or they can get work opportunities and learn how to cook. They learn home maintenance, transportation. It's an expensive program. It costs $104,000 per year. Sometimes school districts will pay part of those costs. Sometimes students will get scholarships. It's a really nice program, though. I also like the CIP program, as I mentioned, in Lenox, Massachusetts. It's residential. It's probably better for students without an intellectual disability, but students live in off-campus apartments and can take classes with support at the local community college or work. So a transition program can happen at the same time as college. It can happen before college. There are no rules. There are no rules now when it comes to our kids. They might need the transition college first and then go to college, but you can also keep them in a transition program at their local school, go there from 9 to 3 every day, and then take the bus from downtown to the local community college where they take 1 or 2 classes. So there's a lot of ways to stack this up and do it. It's not an and, it can be an and, not an or. There are also add-on programs that work with community colleges and four-year colleges to help support your student on a campus. There's a program, and this is a Northeast program called College Steps Programs, but I'm sure that there are something similar throughout the country. They're located on college campus, and they give the student a little extra hands-on help that the colleges can't provide. I love summer programs. I think that especially in high school, when our students may not be lifeguarding at the summer pool, at this town pool, this just gives our kids something else to do while preparing them for college or independence. So their Landmark College has them. The College of New Jersey has them. They're really a wonderful option and worth checking out. As you're choosing what your student will major in college, I think it's pretty important to be practical. We have to be practical. We're autism moms. We know how it works. And the reality is 85% of people with autism are not employed. So choose college major carefully. Choose options that in careers that tend to employ neurodiverse people. Keep working on those social skills and then connect up with the right state agencies. I'll be talking about that next month, how to apply for Social Security and your local state benefits, and at the same time going to college. So why should we go to college? Why are we even considering it? So college is more than just getting a degree. It can be a place where autistic people have something to do, where they can feel social, where they can be around other young people. It's really a unique place. They can get lunch at the cafeteria with other people their age. It's an opportunity to learn new things. And statistically, people with BAs earn more over a lifetime than people without that degree. But maybe we should skip college. Everyone's going to have to think about this. Costs for college for a four-year college, private school, can be over $300,000. If you take that money and you put it in a 6% interest mutual fund over 40 years, that will amount to $3 million. That's a lot of security for our loved ones. We don't necessarily need a college degree to get to our goals. For example, my son wants to fix computers at Best Buy. That's his dream job. Maybe just getting a certificate at the local community college will be enough for him to just get that job and have his dream job. And other students are just tired of college. We can't force all of our kids to go to school. There are other options too. So here are some quick tips, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. But I think every mom and dad should make 2 plans. One is the best case scenario, one is the worst case scenario. The best case scenario might be my son graduates from a 4-year college, gets a degree, an apartment, and a girlfriend. The worst case scenario is his stress levels are too high and he can't finish a college degree and he needs to be on government benefits. Okay, plan for both. And odds are you'll be somewhere in the middle. I think we should all be welfare queens. We have to be. The future is too uncertain, and your child is entitled to it. If your child has autism and meets certain criteria, they could be entitled to state disability payments. Just because they're going to college doesn't mean that they are no longer eligible for those benefits. They are eligible if they hit certain criteria. And we'll talk about that next week. Start slow. Start slow. Sometimes the right answer isn't to jump into a full course load at the community college. Sometimes the answer is to take one online college class, learn what a syllabus is, learn the lingo, and then slowly work your way into more competition. Don't forget to get input from your student. Don't. We looked at one transition program with my son, and my husband and I went to go visit on our own. We did all this interviews, did all this paperwork, did this whole application. We brought him up there and he was like, no way. This isn't right for me. So it was about 2 or 3 months of work that had to be thrown out. So get your input from your student in the beginning. I think we should all think about 10-year programs, 10-year plan with stack programs. Look at those options I talked about today. Maybe start off with a transition program, then a community college, then a 4-year, and you stack it up over time. The last tip is to increase autism awareness in your kid. A big part of moving on to the next stage is going to be your student having to self-advocate for themselves, saying, I'm sorry, this is hard for me, I have autism. Or just recognizing that the other people around them have autism and that's okay, because autistic people tend to annoy each other. So they have to learn tolerance, and that will be gained by being just being more aware about neurodiversity. Most of all, you have to be good to yourself during this process. Probably have no background in disability and higher education. It's a big learning curve. All the rest of your friends are going to be talking about SAT scores and applications and touring super beautiful places. They're not going to understand what you're going through. School may not have anybody to help you with these decisions. Other kids get guidance counselors and special presentations, and we just don't get that. The good news is that there are more resources than ever before. For parents who can do their homework, there's some really good options where your child will flourish and be happy. As you do your research, talk to people. You're going to meet some really great folks. I do think that anybody touched by disability issues, either as a professional or as a parent, is just a little bit nicer than average. You're going to learn to look at the world in a different way than your friends, whose friends follow a more traditional path. You're going to see opportunities in new places. You're going to free yourself and your child from the rat race that is middle-class parenting. You'll learn to appreciate the goal of a content life over a competitive life. We'll all make a great leap in so many ways. I hope I've given you a taste of all the options ahead of you. In the coming weeks, I'm going to bring forward other experts to talk about topics from supports in traditional colleges to wellness to children in specialized programs in this country. If you signed up for this talk, you're automatically going to be signed up for our twice-a-month newsletter. Unsubscribe if you don't want more info in your mailbox. We are going to be talking about next month. I've got a good talk that's just going to be talking about how to apply for Social Security. I hope you guys attend that. And here's more info. So if you want to know more about what I do and resources, I have a website, Autism College Connection. You can email me at mckennaconnection@gmail.com. On the website, I've got links to Facebook and newsletter. I keep my people busy and informed. So I hope this was helpful tonight. I'm going to thank you all for listening. I'm going to open up the chat. And feel free to ask me any questions. Okay. I've got a lot of people from the Midwest. Can we get recording and slides? Yes, I'm going to put everything on YouTube. And if you want the slides, I can give you the slides too. I will forward everything. I've got everybody's email. And the information will be in my newsletter as well. Are the certificate programs as expensive as typical colleges? No. Things that go on at the certificate programs, oh, the ones for intellectual disabilities, the ones that are at the four-year colleges, yes, they can be as expensive, but not necessarily. You have to, each college is different. Some colleges have gotten grants from the federal government to provide specialized programs. So some colleges, these specialized IDD programs are free. So it's really on a case by case basis. Um, no. Yes, is an autism only considered an intellectual disability if IQ is below 90? Um, that seems to be the cutoff. I don't know if there's an official, definition of what an intellectual disability is. I just see 90 being thrown around a lot. So if your student, average IQ in the country is 100, and like I said, these IQ things they're just pretty general. But the the IDD programs that I have talked to, they tend to use that 60 to 90 cutoff. Um, they they'll probably go up to 100, but they don't want students who have a higher IQ in there, even though they may be disabled in all sorts of other ways, because they feel like the students clash. That it's hard for the teachers in the program to provide consistent education for the students, if there's too big of a difference in intellectual abilities. Does every community college have different requirements on AccuPlacer tests? Yes, but they're all about the same. You have to be able to be basically on grade level for English and math. But you would have to check with each community college. Yes, they do have different requirements, but in the same ballpark. Um, in some ways, I think the AccuPlacer test is harder than the SATs. So my son was struggling with the AccuPlacer test. We sent him to one of those like testing centers, and he did better on the S. He got like a 500. He has trouble with reading, but he got a 500 on the SATs for the reading, and so he got out of the AccuPlacer test. So don't rule out trying to get around the requirement with that way. Yes. Do you offer services that support parents in figuring out and navigating the options? Absolutely. So on my website, there's a link. You can, I give a free 30-minute one-on-one help. And then if we need to go, sometimes that 30 minutes is all a parent and I need. And um, so, but if you need more, then we can do more. I also help with everything from filling out the Social Security paperwork to making connections. I'm not a lawyer, but I could get you in the right place if you need that for guardianship or anything. So yeah, if you go to my website, there's a little menu option called services, and you can sign up automatically. Just pick the time that works best for you to chat with me. Intellectual disability is below 70 from what I heard. I mean, it really was. I'm not I don't have a PhD in psychology. Just talking to these different programs, the ones that are for IDD are looking for 60 to 90. Any tips in helping kids get over the stigma of being autistic when trying to teach themselves to stop? It is so hard. I'm going to read that question again. Any tips for helping students get over the stigma of being autistic when trying to teach them to advocate for themselves? It is so important to get over the stigma because, as I said, there are a lot of advantages to being able to say, I'm autistic now. a lot of advantages. There are going to be jobs that are opening up for them. There are professors will understand and say, oh, that's why that's going on. It's really the new world. Um, Kids who are young now in elementary school are learning that skill now. The older kids never had that background. So, for example, Landmark has a whole class on helping students self-identify as autistic. And so check out some of those summer programs. It may be difficult for us to teach our kids that, but when they're in an environment with other autistic smart kids and awesome kids and they all say we're autistic, yay, that's the new norm. Do you take the Accuplacer test if you want to do a certificate program at a community college? No, that's one of the advantages of the certificate programs. You don't usually need to take those Accuplacer tests. Do you have other counselors who work with you? I'm pretty much my own person right now, but I have relationships with other college. What are they called? They are, well, they're college counselors. I work with parents, and I have other associates who work more with the students. So I can make those connections if you like. And if I don't know something, because I don't know everything, I can make connections, I can find the right person that you should talk to. If the SAT is good, but grades are poor, what does that look like for application? Does a personal statement help in that case? Yes. So colleges will occasionally, not occasionally, often see that high SAT score and say, oh, the student has a lot of potential. What they might do is say, you should go to a community college first and then come here, or go to our specialized program first and then come in, because they might not think the student is mature enough. This is the case for a lot of typical kids. My oldest guy is typical. His SATs were good. His grades were and he got into some great schools. Some of the schools did recommend that he start off at a community college. Sometimes that is a sign that they should start off slow because they may not be mature enough for college, and that's okay. Does a personal statement help? It's not, I wouldn't be so worried about what the college thinks. I would think the most important thing is what's right for your son or daughter. If their grades are poor, that might be a sign that they are struggling with anxiety, depression, organization, who knows? But that will be an issue going forward. Could our kids be part of a meeting with you? Sure, if that's what you would like. Can I please share? Yeah, I have it up here on the screen, but I'll type it again. It's www.autismcollegeconnection.com. And that's about it. I hope this was helpful for you guys tonight. And I enjoyed having this talk, and I hope everybody has a good evening. Take care.